Namato Ratana Tayasa. May I pay homage to Triple Gem, the Buddha, Dhamma and the Sangha. My respect goes to my parents and my teachers. Hello, good evening everyone. Today is Tuesday the 16th of June June 2020. This is Achan Sujant from Warapanya Meditation Center, Aberdeen, Scotland. So as usual, I'm here with you tonight, and after a week of miserable days, misty and rain, finally we got this beautiful sunshine, although it's not that warm, but today relatively okay. So I thought, rather than just talking you online from the confined small shrine, I will give you this wonderful view outside, and even the beautiful Buddha is just there, shining this evening light. So just to give you this new flavor after 1 week of indoor broadcast on different topics. So thank you everyone for watching and following, and also the questions and feedbacks. So thank you everyone, thank you very much, particularly from Far East. Significant number are watching and listening, and also got a few feedbacks from there too. So thank you, and thank you everyone. So tonight again I thought that I will continue from what I have left, and a few members already requested on that. So today will be the last topic of the 5 precepts. That's the last one, which is Sura Meraya Majjapamadatthana, number 5th one. Okay, so I will cover this last one, but before that, just give you some information that center we're still working on this barn, and hopefully we'll get some more materials that we are waiting from the B&Q. Once they have got, then we will go and collect, but they haven't got it, so we're still waiting. Meanwhile, we're just working on that. Achan Pira is working hard on that. Okay, so whoever would like to join or contribute to it, you are most welcome to contribute, either financially or even physically. You can come. And we also had a few windows from our neighbor, and also from Paul, we donated as well. And now we're looking for some screws and screwdriver as well. So this is just a feedback for you. And Carl is still isolating himself at home, so hopefully he will be able to come back to the center, and plan to ordain him early next month, before the Wasai starts, which is the 5th of July. So hopefully he can come back, and then we'll have an ordination in that. Right, so let's go to the topic of the day. There's a precept number 5, and just give you a background again, that 5 precepts is a fundamental teachings and a morality, moral practice that Buddha encouraged every Buddhist, and not only the Buddhist, and those who love harmony and peace in the community should practice these 5 precepts. And these 5 precepts, again, whenever we have a Buddhist ceremonies, monks will always let members or participants to observe or recollect the precepts first before performing the religious ceremonies, and as a result, it's always observe 5 precepts, and then the rest of other ceremonies will follow. Okay. So 5 precepts, and then Ranjani texted me saying Carl is going to for test tomorrow or today. Okay, hopefully he got better and no virus, so he can come back to center, and we'll be having another training before he's ready for the ordination. Thank you, Ranjani, for the news. Yes, so that's the 5 precepts. And the 5 precepts again is not like the commandments in a Christianity or any kind of rules like in other faiths, but it is a training ground, or it's training rules, and basically if you train properly, then you will be getting more benefits, and if you do not train, then basically you're not good at it, and the consequences of it is the unwholesome states and possibility of going into the darkness. So that's why the wholesome and unwholesome states of the mind. So if you want to have a like a harmonious society, harmonious life, and a peaceful mind, and without having any fear, or without having any conflict at home or at the community, one should practice the 5 precepts at least. And that's why it's a training ground. But again, if you do not train, there will be no one to tell you off that, oh, you should practice this and you practice that, otherwise you cannot be a Buddhist, or the Buddha will punish you, and so and so. No, there is no such things as that compared to other religion, that if you do not do, then the God will punish, or Allah will punish, or something like that. And this is purely on the basis of your action and the results, that you have to accept the results, not by because external things. Okay, so we've been talking about these 5 precepts, followed by what Buddhism has to offer during this pandemic, and I proposed these 5 precepts, that if we practice it, then everything will be going to be well. And followed by that, I was requested to talk each precepts one by one, and that's I'm following. And today is the last precept, so that is Sura meraya majjapamada thana vera mani sikkhapadang samadhiyami, which means I observe the training of abstaining from taking any intoxications, right? So that basically, in a short form, do not take alcohol and drugs. So that's been translated in a short. And before going into this, let me tell you 2 stories, my own personal stories. It was about a few years ago, when there was a Scottish referendum going on, and I went to vote, to vote as well, not whether it's in or out, but my personal issue. So I went to vote the Scottish referendum, and then next day I was another invitation, another meetings, and then after I was going back to the center, I met 2 guys who was at the castle gate, and they were already drunk. So they approached to me and said, "Oh, are you a monk? Can we have a picture?" So I said, "Why not? Yes." And they want to put one of the hands in my shoulder and say, "No, that's inappropriate, so you shouldn't." So, and then he simply raised his hand and palmed and took a picture. And after that, we had a discussion, and the way he was talking was not welcoming, and feeling uncomfortable. I feel very uncomfortable. So I was ready to defend myself in any case something may happen, but I also wanted to have like a flight, run away, but I stayed calm, then listened, and then gradually I dragged them into the conversation, and they also tried to come for the discussion. And that was my first proper conversation with the drunken man, which we do not know, which I don't know. And after that, I realized that after I talked with him, he was going through serious trouble in his family, and as a result, he was constantly drinking. And he said that every time when he drink, his pains just like gone away, but after the sober gone, alcohol gone, then again comes back to the same trouble again and again. But he again insists himself that he was a good man, and his mother also tells him that he was a good man, and on the basis of that I taught him that you are a good man, so rather than having an alcohol as a refuge, you should be thinking something else for the solution. So that was my first experience. And the second experience was a few years ago. I went on the chaplaincy training in London, and I was living in Kingsbury Temple, and every day it was a long day training. After the training I took a tube and I had to walk from the tube station to the Buddhist center, and that was Easter day, and as soon as I come out from this train station, the tube station, there was two guys, drunken. It was already in the evening and dark, and it's not a dark much, but it's already evening. And two gentlemen having beer cans, the yellow one, their hands, and just I was drunk. Came and spoke with me. Hello, so good evening, Bante. So and then, oh hi, good evening. So then they were like their body was like a swaying. And then they asked me to teach meditation. Now imagine, you are drunk and you want to practice meditation. It's impossible. But again, I didn't have any choice. So I calmly, although I wanted to go away, I was already tired from all the training, but I had to be there. And so I introduced, rather than going into the theories and what is meditation and so, I thought that, okay, why don't you practice the walking meditation, right? So I let them practice walking meditation. Now imagine if you are drunk and practicing a walking meditation, how would you walk? So their body was, they couldn't concentrate. Their mind was just, their body was just swaying here and there. And later they found that they cannot do. So they apologized me and then, just simply walk away. So these are the two incidents that I have come across because of this alcohol trouble. And here you can see that when someone consumes alcohol, that clouds their mind, so they will not be able to function properly, and they will behave because of the alcohol consumption. They're already out of their mind. Maybe they sometimes will able to control, but most of the time they cannot. So that's why the fifth precept is simply to avoid having a clouded mind, because the whole Buddha's teachings is to awaken you to be having mindful all the time. And the very moment you're taking a substance, or whether it's a drugs or whether it is alcohol, basically you're clouding your mind, and with that your mind cannot make a right decision. So basically you lose your mindfulness, and then your awareness is already gone. You cannot make a right decision. That's completely against with the Buddha's teachings, right? So if you're really a Buddhist teaching, you're a Buddhist that are following a Buddha's teachings, then this is the most important one among these 5 precepts. That this allows us to have a sharp mind. This allows us to have a clear mind and a clarity of the mind. And that's all the Buddha's teachings is about, the clarity of the mind, purity of the mind. But the very moment when you take alcohol, or when you take any substance, whether it is drug or whether it is any fermented things that will take control of your nervous system, and it will intoxicate you. So these things shouldn't be taken. So that's why, again, this is also a training ground. And I have just looked at it, some of the words, alcohol. What does alcohol means? And the dictionary says that it's a chemical produced by fermentation which suppress the central nervous system. So when it suppresses the central nervous system, then we cannot take control of anything. We do not know what's going on, and as a result of that, there are so many stories that we can hear because of the influence of the alcohol, cause so many conflicts and even the death. And there is another story even said that one who drank, that person can violate, or that person can do everything, nothing they cannot do. That's because he's unconscious. The way he's behaving, the way he's acting, simply unconscious, and mind is not able to make a right decision. Okay, and the alcohol again divide into three. That's one is beer, which is fermented from so-called grains fermentations, and wine is a fruit fermentation, and spirit is distilled, either beer or wine. Right? So it needs to brew, and then that's how it comes. And according to Buddhism, again, the Buddha mentioned there are 4 types of alcohols. One is called sura, and that comes on the number 5. Yeah, that's why we have a sura meraya majja pamadatthana. Yeah? Sura means the brewed from rice or fruit. Yeah, meraya, there's the second one, distilled from sugar or sweet barks, tree barks, and the majja fermented from the honey, and the asava means the fermented from the palms, right? Palm, the juice of palm that fermented. And that's why when we look at the number 5 precept, it says sura meraya majja pamadatthana. Yeah, so in that particular word, sura is one type of a beer or alcohol, and meraya is a distilled, like a spirits. Sura meraya majja, that's made of like a sugar or made of a honey that become fermented and turned to the alcohol. And the last bit one, the pamadatthana, which is the very important one. Pamadatthana here means the substance, once you have taken, then it clouds your mind that you cannot make a right decision. Basically, lose of mindfulness. Right? So that's why the number 5, the one word combines 4 different types of substance that makes our mind clouds, and we shouldn't be taking it. And that if you take it, then you cannot make a right decision. And here, and again, people may say, because in other religion, like in Christianity, drinking a wine is compulsory, and when you go to the church for the services, then you are taking alcohol. So that's why, even when in Scotland, when I remember the early days in Scotland, when I introduced this number 5, I even was asked that rather than saying that you cannot consume alcohol, you should be saying that mindful drinking. So I don't know how to define this mindful drinking, right? So this is quite interesting one. So, but again, there is another story as well. It reminds me now that the prince from Thailand wanted to come to England for the study, and the story says that his father, the king, gave him alcohol, like a wine to drink. And he instructed his son, saying that it's a custom in England or in the West that when you go to the parties, you have to drink alcohol. This is a custom. So, as a prince, you are high class. Whenever people invite you for the for parties, then you can drink just 1 cup. And do not exceed. Do not be drinking too much and out of control. So because he was like simply presenting that we practice Buddhism and you are the representative of the country, and so you should respect the 5 precepts and project yourself in a true Buddhist in that way. So that's why he was given permission to drink at least 1 glass of wine. Probably that is the mindful drinking, I presume. So I also face the same thing. So, and then rather than saying that avoid taking drinks or wines or alcohols, I normally used to say that, okay, let's have a mindful drink. But I'm not sure how many times that mindful drinks means, and with that, I even can see there are members who are still drunk a couple of times, or even when they have many excuses to drink. New Year, let's go have a drink. Oh, this is meeting a new friend. Oh, let's have a drink. Oh, this is my birthday. Let's have a drink. Oh, I'm very sad. Let's have a drink. So people can make any excuses for having a drink. So that's why, no offense to you, but again, I'm just presenting what is should be practicing. And the Buddha again further says that danger of consuming the alcohol or having this drugs that clouds our mind, it's basically loss of wealth, and increase of quarrels. And again, I have mentioned it's quarrel. It's possible of fight a lot. Even in going to the pubs, we can see, and the quarrel begins, and ill health. And if you are consuming too much, then basically that comes the ill health. I have met a couple of members who used to drink a lot, and they left not drinking it for some times, but after they have meditated and learned meditation and they felt like they are good at it, and then they never continue practicing and went back to the drinking again, and which is very sad story. And there are 2 I know very well. They are still very drunk and sober, and again, sometimes I do not see them at all. So that brings not just a physical health problem, but also mentally. Okay, and also as a result of that, the reputation also not that great. People will gossip in different ways, and once you have taken the drugs or alcohol, pretending that you like a lion or a tiger or something like that, basically you have nothing. But that's just the this creation from your mind. And this alcohol again makes you impaired of intelligence. So like that. So that's why the danger of having this alcohol or drugs is really makes our health and also the community and also the family cause trouble as well. In Asia, this has been one of the huge trouble as well. But anyway, in order to check that whether they have violated the precept number 5 or not, we again still have to go through the procedures called the measure of a violation, measurement of violation. So number 1, we have to make sure that person who is going to drink knows that is an alcohol, like it's called mataniyang. So that drink has alcohol, he knows. And second, he has still, despite of knowing that has alcohol, he still have a wish or desire to drink that, hoping that this is alcohol. Okay, and then the third, he simply take action, maybe pour water, pour in a cup or a glass of water, and then drinks. And lastly, he drank. So he take a drink, and it passes through a lung. And only then it is taken as a violation of the 5th precepts, Surameria Majjapamadhatana. Okay, so this is how we check. A last story that I just remember just now, I was told when I was in Nepal, that how the alcohol created, as simply like one. This is also come from the Jataka stories. It's from the scripture that saying that one type of the tree, and there was a depression, and as the water left there, the fruit automatically from the sun, it was fermented, and with that fermentation the birds drank the water, and then they become a drunk, and after they have drunk, they were just like out of control, cannot do anything, and then a few moments later they were again come back to the normal. And one of the hunters were just observing that, and he also tried it. By trying so, understanding that, then that's how it's been introduced as alcohol in a wider community or wider sense, and it's become widely known. Okay, so although in Buddhism this is known as prohibit or not allowed to take, or should avoid taking drinks that clouds our mind. And again, it is not just alcohol or drugs. I mean, every substance or any substance that clouds the mind or that suppresses your nervous system and intoxicate you, which impairs in your intelligence and become unmindful and unable to function properly. So, and that is the main reason behind of introduction of this precept, that we train not to have any substance that clouds our mind, and that basically is to develop our mindfulness and ability to be wise enough to make a right decisions and make a right way of living. And again, that is the ultimate teachings of the Buddha, to be awakened, to be improving ourselves into having this mindfulness and awareness in every walks of our life. And that's why it is known as the mindfulness and awareness is the great assistant that assists us to find happiness here and then happiness hereafter until the attainment of the Nibbana. So I offer this as tonight's talk, and I will end here. In a few minutes time we will have a chanting and guided meditation. You're most welcome to join both the chanting and guided meditation. So with this, may you be happy, peaceful, and be safe. Take care, and thank you everyone for watching and listening, and continue listening from again tomorrow at 6:30 at the same time. Until then, if you're not following for the chanting and meditation, good night. And if you're following for the chanting and meditation, we'll see you shortly in few minutes time. So may the Buddha bless you, and thank you everyone. Thank you.